Excellent day to you all from everywhere you're listening to me from. Here is Ambassador Dr. Adekunle Badmus, Global President of the Global Clusters Worldwide. It's accurate knowledge and information revolution of the global clusters. And this is a call to everyone. If you're watching online, we want you to share this with friends and family, and want you to know that this is the revolution, part of the revolution that will fix the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Let's have it.
Knowledge is power, and the knowledge and information revolution is about sharing it freely. We live in a world where access to education and information can change lives. At Global Clusters, we champion this revolution by promoting lifelong learning, critical thinking, and the free flow of ideas. This is more than access, it's about empowerment. By equipping individuals with knowledge, we unlock innovation, drive progress, and shape a brighter, more informed future for all. Join us in spreading the light of knowledge and transforming the world, one idea at a time. Knowledge is the foundation of progress. Be part of the knowledge and information revolution at theglobalclusters.org. Stay informed about new revolutions, events, and insights. Every meeting is a chance to grow, innovate, and contribute to a more enlightened world. The revolution needs you. Join us now.
The revolution needs you. Join us now. Somebody's asking who. I say you that you're watching online. It needs you. This revolution needs everybody. So join us now. It's the accurate knowledge and information revolution, the PA2, the 001 accurate knowledge and information. That is Dr. Adewari Warebo. Urenta, you have the floor right now. You're a co-host. You can share. You'll be speaking to us in the next 30 to 40 minutes, and we'll give our submission. Over to you, sir. Dr. Adewari. Unmute yourself.
I don't know, but the other area is around as well as system. And then to bring a mystery.
Why is your voice like this? Because I've met you one-on-one. Your voice is not like this. Your voice is like like that.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, amazing. That's the right voice.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
All right. So, like I said earlier, it's a privilege and honor to be with you today. And today we are going to look at accurate knowledge and information revolution. Now, before I start, I would like to share a story from the 18th century. So around 1854, there was a terrible cholera outbreak that swept through London. Thousands were dying. So many persons were sick. And no one knew exactly why. What was happening? What was wrong with these persons? Why were people dying? And then most experts believed that maybe it was just the bad air. Some felt it was a foul smell from the river that was causing the cholera outbreak. But then there was one doctor, John Snow. He wasn't convinced with the whole conspiracy theory and the whole opinions and the whole innuendos. Now, he was armed with just little more than a notebook and fierce determination. Now, he began to gather real evidence. He mapped the cases and found a very clear pattern.
They all clustered around one water pump on Broad Street. When the authorities finally removed the pump, the death stopped almost immediately.
Your voice has changed again. Oh.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
that's good. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, please.
Amazing.
Sorry, I think my network, the network on this side is, so I'm working on it. But you can hear me clearly now.
Yes, we can hear you clearly now. We can
So,
enjoy you, Dr. Adewari.
so and John Snow's discovery changed medicine forever, and it marked the birth of modern epidemiology. Now, all because one man decided to let go of the popular opinion and he dared to seek for accurate knowledge. Now, today, just like John Snow, as a global cluster, we are charged to be seekers of truth in a world that is flooded with lots of misinformation and information that is starving for accuracy. In a time of information overload, like in the era we live today, there is a need
for us to have the ability to discern which knowledge is accurate, information. I think the fact that today's
Your voice has changed again.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, it's okay now. Go ahead, please.
So in today's knowledge economy, it thrives not merely on data, but data that can be verified. It's reliable and actionable. Now, accurate knowledge and information revolution calls for an intentional movement, just like John Snow, towards seeking out truth, towards transparency and intellectual rigor, not just getting access to information, but putting in the work to actually make sure that the information is actually transparent and it's the truth, especially when misinformation and disinformation can spread very fast. Now, what is accurate knowledge? Accurate knowledge is knowledge that is evidence-based, factual, and timely.
and when we say knowledge is evidence-based, it's knowledge that can be verified. Knowledge that in Nigeria, yes.
Wow. Your voice again is having issue. I don't know why it's going like that. Your internet is good, but I don't know what you're using. Your voice again, you can't even get you right now.
Give me a few minutes. Let me change. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you right now.
I don't know. I think I'm working on.
It's okay.
Let me work on the Let me work on the audio.
The audio is okay now.
Okay, so can I go ahead?
Go ahead, sir.
So now, like I said earlier, accurate knowledge refers to knowledge that is evidence-based, is factual, and is timely. And when we say evidence-based, it means this knowledge actually has a verifiable source that everyone can always go seek out for themselves. And it is very factual and it is timely, because knowledge that was accurate in 1841 may not be accurate in the world of today. So knowledge must be timely. It must be something that aligns with the time and the season that we are in. Now, some of the characteristics of accurate knowledge, the fact that it must be verifiable.
Your voice has changed again. While we're waiting for our facilitator to work on the audio, it's accurate knowledge and information revolution of the global clusters. This is the framework that will build our father's land. This is one of the most important revolution of the global clusters. Wrong information can destroy a nation. Wrong information can create war. Wrong knowledge can destroy someone itself, can render an individual powerless. The place for accurate knowledge and information, you cannot push it away. Partial knowledge, a knowledge that is not fully correct, can create a tragedy. Wrong knowledge can cause chaos. So, share this link to your friends and family. Let them join this call today. While our facilitator is working on the audio.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead,
okay,
please.
Thank you so much. Please, I'm very sorry for the technical hitch.
All right, go ahead, please.
Okay, so we're discussing the characteristics before we're really interrupted by the network issues we were having and the technical issues from my end. So I would love to continue. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for giving a recap.
You're welcome, my brother.
And we're looking at the characteristics of what accurate knowledge is, and one of the characteristics is that knowledge must be verified through credible methods and sources. For example, in the academia, we do send our journals out for publication, and then these publications are being reviewed by experts in our field. And this peer review, as we call it, can actually serve as a means and as a way of actually verifying the authenticity of the information that is being passed and the knowledge that is being passed at the conferences and through the academic journals. Another characteristic of accurate knowledge is it has to be consistent with observable reality. Now, knowledge cannot and should not be something that changes. Maybe today, this particular knowledge, like what I'm sharing today now, you go back to go and look at it and read it tomorrow, and then discover that for some reason what I shared today is no longer relevant tomorrow. So accurate knowledge must be consistent and must be very, very observable with the reality. It must also be unbiased and transparent. It must also be updated regularly to reflect new findings. Because knowledge is dynamic, it's not static. It's something that should be able to update and change with the times and with the society. Now look at the evolution of knowledge. Now, over the years, over the centuries, knowledge has moved from before Christ, from time memorial, it has evolved through different eras. And today we are going to look at 6 different eras in the evolution of knowledge. starting with the ancient times. Now, the ancient times refers to between 5,000 BC to 500 BC. Now, this was known as the period where information and knowledge was actually passed through storytelling, through myths like the ancient African griots that actually moved from place to place, passing information, maybe via trade, whichever trade post they went to go and do business, shared information, that's storytelling and jamming. And then from that time, information evolved the classical era. And the classical era was actually the era where knowledge exploded. It was the era of philosophy, science, and religion. It's the era where the likes of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle began to actually think and philosophize on what knowledge is. Now, Socrates had his own views about what should be learned and what knowledge should be. Plato and Aristotle also existed in this era. Now, this era existed between 500 BC to around 300 to 200 BC. And then was the era of the Middle Ages. And the Middle Age era is the era that was controlled by religious and political authorities. And of course, during this era, both the religious and political authorities were same thing. The church was the government, controlled by the eastern part of the world was controlled by the sultans and the emirates, while the western part and major parts of Europe and some parts of Africa was controlled by religious and political authorities. This is the era of control by the church. It's around the period where the Roman Empire existed and actually promoted church. Now, in this era, the church actually determined what information and what knowledge was worthwhile and was worth learning. And then from that period, this period was there was actually a form of disagreement between the church and some individuals that came up later that tried to actually battle with the church about what knowledge should be and about what was worth learning. And that was when we had the likes of the Gutenberg press that came up with alternative forms of knowledge to actually rival what the church actually gave out and what the church actually decided was actually worth learning and was worth hiding from the public. And this era, we had people like Isaac Newton sprung up, and Galileo also came up with his knowledge on astronomy, and his knowledge deviated from the teachings of the church, and it led to a kind of witch hunting, and people around that era that came up with alternative or a different form of knowledge from what the church was teaching were being seen as heretics. They were persecuted, some of them were locked up, and some were even killed. But then these individuals were not deterred. They kept seeking for truth, they kept seeking for facts, and this led us to the era of the Renaissance and Enlightenment, the explosion of independent inquiry and scientific methods. The likes of Shakespeare, the likes of Isaac Newton. It was the era that was actually characterized by discoveries, by inventions, because at this particular point, knowledge had left the control of religious and political authorities and had now moved to individuals. Now, individuals had the freedom to actually explore what real knowledge was. And then from this period, knowledge actually evolved to the industrial age. And in the industrial age, we now had courses like engineering, we had courses like history, like knowledge became codified with mass education and specialization. Now today we come from different academic disciplines and backgrounds. Some of us studied engineering, some studied education, some studied art, some studied humanities, some studied social sciences. And this specialization and division of knowledge came about during the industrial age. But also the period when productivity increased and industries sprung up and production tripled. And from this age, they actually moved to the digital era, which is the era we are living in today. An era where there is instant global access. And this era began with the invention of the World Wide Web in 1991. And since that time, knowledge has evolved in digital era, and knowledge has become something with instant.
We can't hear you again. No.
Okay, so it also came with the challenge of massive misinformation. There was the risk of what information is authentic and what information was misinformation and which was inaccurate. So it became an era where that necessitated the need to actually have accurate knowledge and information being shared with everybody. So the era that we have today, despite comes with the advantage of the global access to whatever, knowledge has been decentralized. It has moved from being with institutions and instruments of government and political instruments to becoming something that everybody has access to. These days, you see people that have access to telephones, being able to access any kind of information and any kind of knowledge. But then, this great privilege comes very great risk of misinformation. As information these days needs to be verified for its authenticity and its accuracy for it to be believed and actually shared with others. Now that we've looked at the evolution of knowledge, there's also need for us to actually look at the politics of knowledge. What do I mean when I say the politics of knowledge? Now, the politics of knowledge refers to the way in which power shapes what is accepted as true and who controls information. Now, you will not agree with me with the fact that despite the fact that information is now open access, and almost everybody that has access to the internet can have access to any kind of information, but information is still being controlled by certain power blocks. Like, for example, the government institutions. Now, how do they control access to information? Now, you go to our schools, for example, the curriculum that is being taught in Nigerian schools, the curriculum is a curriculum that has been designed by the Nigerian government. And for a particular period of time, certain information and knowledge was being removed from the curriculum intentionally. Not because the information were inaccurate, but for political reasons. For example, history was removed from a curriculum at a particular point. And even the history that is being taught today is history that has been censored. So whether you like it or not, knowledge, in as much as we want to believe that knowledge is free and everybody has access to very accurate information, you still have institutions that still censor what is being sent out as accurate information and what is supposedly and in quote misinformation. That's why you have cases where news filters into Twitter and the government comes out to debunk this information as fake news. And then we later discover that these informations are actually true. And another example of this kind of politics we are talking about is in a place like China, where they run an authoritarian kind of government, where the government actually restricts access to social media and other relevant tools for searching and sourcing for information. In China, access is restricted to social media apps like X, like Facebook, and some sites in the World Wide Web are not even accessible to residents of China. So these are some of the ways that institutions and governments control and politicize what correct and incorrect knowledge is. So in this particular instance, some knowledge is privileged while others are suppressed. Now, another good example of the politics of knowledge, when you look at the algorithms of social media apps and the internet. I'm sure everybody here has access to Twitter, Facebook, and other social media apps. Now, if you're going through your newsfeed on Facebook and you're going through your newsfeed on Twitter, one thing you will discover is that for some reason, certain information that you don't subscribe to and you don't even read keeps popping up on your timeline. For example, let's use the case of Twitter. Now, I think around the period of the previous administration in America, you could rarely read 4 or 5 things on the internet without reading something about LGBTQ or reading something about climate change. Now, this is because the social media apps intentionally design their algorithms in such a way that they try as much as possible to influence the knowledge that you consume, depending on which regime and which side of the information divide that they are in. So they try to politicize what knowledge should actually be consumed by users of social media and other, not just social media, even the internet, Google, for example. I remember very well during the period of campaign in America, you discover that you do not access certain kinds of information on the World Wide Web because for some reason they were intentionally being shadowed and they were intentionally being masked from general public. So this is what I call the politics of knowledge. Who controls what accurate knowledge is? Who influences and actually tell us what knowledge is worthwhile? So knowledge, whether we like it or not, most of the time actually refers to what is being accepted by certain institutions like the government and some key private institutions. Another good example is during the explosion of the production of medicine. You get to discover that during the era of COVID, for example, a country like China intentionally suppressed news and key evidences about COVID-19 so as to prevent the production of vaccines on time. Now, without this information and this knowledge, the scientists found it very difficult to actually investigate and actually find out the root causes and the genetic causes of the COVID pandemic. So this is what I look at and what I call the politics of knowledge. The politics of knowledge simply refers to decide what knowledge is what consumed. How do they decide how this knowledge is consumed? And then what knowledge are we going to allow access to? So there is a need most times for you to actually, on your own, dig deeper into information that you think are very authentic, because most times these informations are being censored and only the things that these key institutions require us to actually know. So there is a need for you to actually investigate and actually dig deeper into the accuracy of certain information that we consume. Now, the importance of accurate information. Now, accurate information drives innovation. For example, the analogy I gave earlier with John Snow about the cholera outbreak in the early British society. Now, it is through accurate information, through investigation, that John Snow was able to create a solution for the cholera epidemic at that time. And today he's being described as the father of epidemiology. And through his works, he drove innovation into how serious diseases and serious medical issues are being investigated. And today, almost all, even the Ebola crisis of 2012, was also handled, 2015 I meant to say, was also handled via investigations and careful scientific inquiry. So accurate information drives innovation. And accurate information also informs decisions. It actually accounts for it accounts for how accurate facts help leaders, businesses, and individuals to make sound choices. With accurate information, for example, presidents, head of states, and government can actually decide the next line of action to take in the issues of government. For example, in the media space, few days ago, between the presidency's camp and the camp of one of the presidential candidates about what information should be shared with the public, about what statistics is accurate and what statistics is not accurate, because a particular handle, Statistics actually released some data on the GDP of the country. Now, some persons came up with the argument that despite the fact that this data is actually factual and true, it's actually a need for we as the patriotic citizens to actually make sure that we only pass out information that puts our country in a good light. But then some persons come up with the question that does censoring and actually hiding this information about them doesn't in any way help us solve our problems as a country. But then imagine now the argument that imagine in a situation where the government actually use this accurate information instead of seeing it as a tool for political propaganda and disagreement, but seeing it as a tool to actually solve real real problems of nationhood. So with accurate information, you actually know where you are as a government and where you are as an individual and where you are as a business. And you can actually now aspire to wherever you want to get to and wherever you want to be. Even with what we are doing here in the global cluster, with accurate information, we can better inform our next direction as a group and as an entity. Now, there are so many importance of accurate information. I would also like to look at the fact that accurate information can light up and enlighten the society. Now, with informed citizens, you can actually uphold democracy, uphold rights, and uphold human justice and progress. With accurate information, you actually know those parts of society that is doing the same. And the part that actually I think sometime last year, a particular student of UNILAG was actually went viral on the internet. I was living inside a shank at Magodo, living inside a flooded apartment. Now, with accurate information, the society was enlightened as to the plight of this particular individual, and so many organizations and so many individuals came to the aid of this particular student. And today, that student is on scholarship and has been set up for life. So accurate information can enlighten society, not just the plights of their fellow citizens, but can also help uphold democracy and uphold the rights and progress of the entire country. Now, what are the dangers of inaccurate knowledge? Well, that's something that we all have an idea of. We've seen it in real time, what it can do. And remember when COVID-19 started originally? I remember during the period of Ebola, I was back then. I think I was in my final year. And there was this fear of you cannot shake hands with your colleagues, you can't even go. And then there was this particular misinformation that was going around that period, that bathing with salt and drinking salt water would actually cure and solve the problem of Ebola. Now, so many persons that were hypertensive died as a result of this inaccurate knowledge and information. So inaccurate information can actually lead to fear, can actually lead to distrust, and actually lead to fear. Can also lead to manipulation and authoritarianism. For example, in a place like China and a place like North Korea, especially. Now, inaccurate knowledge and information has been manipulated so as to actually enable a repressive state and an authoritarian state to actually keep the citizens of those countries in the dark. So inaccurate knowledge. Now, I tell people that difference between a country like say North Korea and a country like Nigeria is knowledge and information. Now, these countries understand that the moment their citizens have access to accurate information and knowledge, then that is the end of whatever manipulation and authoritarianism they are actually running. So, and they seem to believe that keeping and hiding accurate knowledge and information gives them a particular form of leverage and power over their own citizens. And this can be very, very dangerous as it will lead to the disenfranchisement of people and at the same time also lead to the ignorance and the suppression of people. And inaccurate knowledge can also stifle creativity and growth. For example, in a country like Nigeria, now before the current administration came in 2023, the unemployment figures were at 35% and 54% for youth unemployment, youth unemployment. But then when the current administration came in, they rebased the statistics and the statistical figures of the economy. And you could see the unemployment figures were being reduced from a massive 34% to 3.4% and 5.4% for youth unemployment. And you see, one thing with data and knowledge is that it does not have emotions. It doesn't have any brother, any friend, or any sister. It is actually when the data stares at your face, there's nothing, there's one now. Now the government will tell you that maybe unemployment is at 3.4% or 5.4%. But the reality on ground is there are so many youths in Nigeria that are unemployed. So for some reason, until the country somehow looks for a way to actually face and actually understand its own reality, because very, very difficult for us to grow and champion creativity. So inaccurate knowledge and inaccurate information can stifle creativity and growth in a country and even in an individual. Now, how do we build a culture of accurate knowledge and information? Now, one of the ways we can actually build this culture is by fact-checking every information. Like I said earlier, certain things that, for example, there are cases where funding agencies, for example, the research, for someone like that in the academia, and we do research, and some of our researches are being funded by international organizations and institutions. Now, because some of the international organizations and institutions actually fund some of our research, actually decide which information we actually put out to greater extent at the end. So most times there are certain information that you see on the internet and on the global space that look as if they are actually accurate. But in real sense, this information and knowledge is being sponsored by funding agencies. So there's a need for you to verify information, no matter how much you think, oh, this information actually looks legit. It comes from someone that looks legit. There's a need for you to actually verify this information before sharing it. Because whether you're the originator of this information or not, once you share this information, you also become a culprit in inaccurate knowledge and misinformation. Now, another way we can actually build a culture of accurate information is by open knowledge access. Now, recently, lots of journal articles have come up with a particular principle and philosophy of open access, where people from all walks of life and all areas of academics have been allowed to actually publish, no matter which area they come from. And then there's transparency how this research is being published. Now, someone publishing about the capabilities of the partnership system in a place like Onitsha actually has the privilege actually has the privilege of actually publishing his own knowledge in an open source journal for the whole world to see. So one of the ways of tackling misinformation and inaccurate information is through open access knowledge by advocating for transparency in research, media, and governance. Another way is critical thinking. Now, critical thinking, most times, some persons want to actually look at it as something that is very trivial and something that is very, very simple. But far from it, critical thinking is not as easy as we like to put it out, because I ask myself most times, why will, for example, during the Ebola crisis, why will someone tell you to bath with salt and drink salt water as a hypertensive person, and you're actually lapping the information and drinking it and thinking it brings you life? There is a need for us not just fact check information, but for us to actually put our own practical and analytical skills to actually look at information and process the information. Because most times, if we as individuals and as a group can actually critically think about certain information and knowledge at our disposal, it will be very, very easy to decipher from what is misinformation and inaccurate knowledge, or what is accurate knowledge and information. And then we must also imbibe the principle of lifelong learning. Now, the era where information and learning was restricted to very few privileged, like in the 18th and the 16th century, where only royalty had access to education, formal education, and had access to information, that era is gone. We are now in an era of lifelong learning. We have Coursera courses, we have courses on Oracle, we have courses. There are so many platforms these days that actually share credible knowledge and information. There is actually a need for us to actually imbibe a culture of lifelong learning, where we continually update our understanding of new and credible knowledge. Now, what is our role as a global cluster in actually sharing accurate information and actually driving accurate information? Now, remember that as a community that is dedicated to relevant and usable energy, there is a need for us to use our platform for change. And before this meeting this evening, I was going through the Global Clusters YouTube page, and Global Clusters is doing a very wonderful job with sharing information. Now, we may not have lots of views for now, but trust me, as time goes on, the platform is gradually becoming a platform for change, a platform that actually drives accurate information and actually battles against misinformation. By actually sharing what we have there, what we have amongst ourselves, we can not just create a platform for change, but we can also drive accurate information, especially in this era where misinformation has become a bane of the knowledge explosion. And through our weekly engagements and sessions like 5 p.m. sessions, we can drive innovations, inform decisions, and we can enlighten society to the dangers of misinformation and to the importance of accurate knowledge. And I also want to call us to action as individuals. We need to make key commitments as individuals. We need to commit ourselves to the pursuit of truth. We need to challenge misinformation, and we need to empower others through accurate information. Before you send that information that is at your disposal, please check and verify. Be sure that the information that you're sending out and that you're sharing with others is actually information. Before the information is actually accurate and is actually correct, and is actually information that can actually bring life and not take life, that can actually improve life and not make life worse. So I conclude by saying that we should seek truth. We should verify relentlessly, and we should make sure we educate others. And we should be courageous in challenging misinformation. We should not allow misinformation to thrive, maybe because it's coming from someone that is our friend or a particular group that we subscribe to. When we belong to a particular political group, a political society, we now subscribe to misinformation. So as to actually, we must be very courageous in challenging misinformation, even when it's as if the whole society is against the information that we are sharing. For example, remember during the cholera outbreak of 1854, when John Snow actually challenged the perception that, oh, maybe the cholera was a result of what was actually in the air, or because of the pollution in the river, or the smell that was coming out from the river. Now, it was the popular opinion that everybody could agree and say, oh, truly, this is what it was possible. But then, Jon Snow, as an individual, actually went ahead to, on his own, challenge the misinformation and the opinions that was circling around England at that time. Now, he went and deeply searched for the truth, and he actually seeked for accurate information. So, as a global cluster, we must seek truth, verify relentlessly, educate others, and be courageous in challenging misinformation. And remember that knowledge is the currency of the future, anyhow you want to look at it. Knowledge is the currency of the future, but the accuracy of knowledge is the value of information and knowledge. So thank you so much for listening. God bless you.
Wow, amazing. This is mind blowing. This is fantastic. You know, Dr. Adewale Waribo Uranta, the PA to the 001, accurate knowledge and information in the person of Professor Adebayo Oladipupo, the Dean, the current Dean of the Education Faculty of University of Lagos, our own University of Lagos. This is amazing. This is fantabulous. This is mind-blowing. Accurate information, accurate knowledge. It's mind-blowing. I celebrate you, sir. Thanks for this wonderful knowledge. Now, people will give their submission. Let me start from the 002 Certificate Revolution. Certificate Revolution is the person of Cluster and Coyote Oyedotun, aka Master Genie. What's your take on today's accurate knowledge and information revolution? In 1 minute, please. Master Genie.
Thank you very much, our global president. Excellent evening to you, sir. I greet our First Lady, our able ambassadors, our daddies and mommies in the house. I greet every great Clusterian and non-Clusterian present in the house. Thank you very much, our doctor, for that great lecture. Yes, we need accurate information in this new normal. And we need to listen to the call to action that our doctor has talked about. I mean, every point that has been mentioned is on point. And I will eat everybody that has listened to this today or that will listen to the video later to please take action on the information you have heard today. Thank you very much. That will be my submission for now, sir. Thank you.
Amazing. That's the voice of the 002 Certificate Revolution of the Global Clusters in the person of Cluster and Coyote Oyedotun, all the way from the United Kingdom. Thank you for all you do to contribute positively to humanity. Let's have the 001. Let's come back to Nigeria. Let's have the 001 NAPS of the Global Clusters in Oyo State. That is Dr. Miri Odedari Adewumi. What's your take on today's accurate knowledge and information?
Good evening, sir.
Excellent evening to you, ma.
Are you hearing me, sir?
Yeah, we can hear you, ma. Quiet, ma.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, Doctor. I want to say good evening to everybody in the house, all the great Clusteria. Thank you for all you are doing. I want to sincerely appreciate the facilitator of this evening. You have done an excellent job. God will bless you the more. He will increase you in knowledge and power. Thank you so much. You are so refreshed. Accurate knowledge and information revolution. Today we have had a fantastic presentation. And I think the most important thing for us as Clusteria is let's be open to receive knowledge I wonder why some of our people are so reluctant in joining. What we are saying is that come on board, listen to all these trainings. You have a lot to gain. The facilitator today has made us to know that we all need to build a culture of accurate information, develop an habit that is on to get more knowledge, more information, accurate information. And take note of this, learning is continuous. Your knowledge. No one knows it all. Update your knowledge. Very, very important. And I know by so doing, it will be helpful to all of us. We need our people. Let's call them. Let's encourage them to come on board and learn and listen. This is the only way by which we can transform this country. And it's the only way by which we can transform our Africa. We are all into it, but without the information and accurate knowledge, which is actual instrument needed, you may not be able to do anything. So thank you for having me. Accurate knowledge and information is our power. Thank you, sir.
Amazing. That is the voice of the O01 NAPS or your state. Thanks for all you do to contribute positively to humanity. Our time is fast spent, but let me take a submission from Clusterian Oluwase Yodushagun. In 1 minute, what's your take on today's call?
Thank you so very much, sir. We appreciate it. Thank you, our facilitator, Dr. Adawari Waribo. Thank you, sir. I greet the First Lady. I greet all the great Clusterians there earlier and those that are just joining us. Yes, thank you, sir, for always also reminding us to verify every information that we have, especially this age, that the digital world, that information has been democratized, like information is flying everywhere. We have to be careful about the information we get. And we are so blessed in the global clusters that every information that you drop on the global cluster can be verified, because everybody on the platform are those that are on point, they are versatile, they are updated. So any Clusterian that is falling into false information, like Ambassador said yesterday, that if you are not joining the meeting, you are not a Clusterian. That is why you have to join all these meetings, so you will know. So any Clusterian should never be a victim of false information anymore, because here you can verify anything from everyone, because we are all trained every time to be people that are always pursuing and verifying and information. Thank you so very much, Doctor. We appreciate it. Thank you, sir, Ambassador.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thanks for having you. Let's hear a submission from Mr. Mayowa Samaye. What's your take on today's presentation from Dr. Adewar? Are you there?
Good evening, everyone.
Yes.
The Ambassador, good evening, everyone. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be here. Talking about the accurate information and knowledge, it's necessary for we educators to have accurate information and knowledge from every information we gather. So we need to always critically critique every information gotten from any source. So it's a necessity for us all to have the in-depth knowledge that every information being passed, you need to get a very vast knowledge on the information and make sure those information are valid and are of integrity. So I really appreciate the facilitator I really appreciate the facilitator, Dr. Adawari, and I appreciate everyone for being here. And we should try as much as possible to spread the word to everyone around us, that accurate information is a necessity to humanity. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Let's have the 001 or your cluster of the global clusterian Pastor Moses Power, aka Mugod. What's your take on today's accurate knowledge and information revolution, sir?
Yeah, thank you. I greet everyone. I think you listen to me.
Yes, we can hear you. Go
Okay,
ahead.
thank you. Good evening, everyone. And I appreciate the presenter. And what I'm going to say is this. Information, it exposes us to some certain things in life. Maybe in lacking or adding more. And for this evening, for everyone that is joining the platform, I believe I gain, and I believe everyone gain also. And that gaining I'm talking about, we need to spread it. We need to expand it. We need to make it move. And that is paramount thing that we need going to be in our hearts. We need to share it. Like Noyo State now, I was discussing with 001 NAPS that we need information communications. And with that is there, the First Lady I greeted, especially. God bless every one of you. In the mighty name of Jesus. Thank you.
Amazing. Amazing. That is the voice of 001 or your cluster of the global clusters. Thanks for all you do to contribute positively to humanity. I'm going to take the final contribution from Alayo TV. What's your take on today's accurate knowledge and information revolution? Over to you, Alayo, in 1 minute, please.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Mr. President. My beautiful First Lady in the house, Mr. Odusoya, I greet you. I greet all the old ones and all my daddies and mom in the house. I want to appreciate the speaker. God bless you, more knowledge in Jesus. My take on this is that information is key. Information is power. At least I got a lot of information from my president today. So that makes me understand a lot of key that has to do with information. And I want to appreciate my president for being there. I want to appreciate you. May God Almighty continue to strengthen you. May God Almighty continue to bless you. And the Lord will help us to drive this, our global cluster, with His more grace in Jesus' name. Thank you all. I greet my First Lady. Well done, mommy. Love you. Have a wonderful day.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you for that wonderful contribution. Having said that, our time is fast spent, and it's time up. From the time right now, I would have loved to take everyone's contribution. I cite you, Mrs. Neri, Origo Mason, proprietress. I cite you, Engineer Dekoya, and I can cite Clusteran Folashadi Fegege, Clusteran Feyisha Yobi Bio Baku. I cite you, the diction guru himself. And I can see Clusteran Rahman Omoumi, and I can see Clusteran Bashiru and my darling wife, the global first lady of the global clusters, Chief Mrs. Mutunayo Badmos. Having said that, I want to draw the curtain today, and I want to say, who are we? We are a consortium of professionals or upcoming professionals, technocrats or upcoming technocrats, entrepreneurs or upcoming entrepreneurs, where we share accurate knowledge of our industry. Why? Because it gives us the right power, accurate information, because that is the bridge between where we are and where we ought to be. Accurate connection, because to whom we are connected to determines what we collect. We are not just a social media platform like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. with a marketplace, with all the language of the world, with a marketplace like Amazon, with all the language of the world, including our own Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa. We're not just a social media platform with the first ever with instant monetization. We are a nation, and first at it, nation building social media platform on earth. So if you're not here, you can join us through our Play Store. Go to the Global Clusters on Play Store. You download it. A one-time lifetime, $30K for or $21 as a clusterian, or a one-time lifetime, $50K or $35 as a vendor, and for limitless possibilities and opportunity. We're currently having a combo for everyone. As a clusterian, we want you to come in with a combo package of 61,000, and as a vendor, we want you to come in with a combo package of 81,000. So with all this combo, you'll be able to have a chain value, and it's a whole lot. You can get details from other clusterians. Tomorrow is people to people revolution of the global cluster. You don't have to miss it. Come and meet Professor Clinton Brown. That is the 001 NRI worldwide. And you're gonna get a lot of value. From 5 to 6 p.m. We're gonna have him tomorrow evening on Sunday. I want to appreciate everyone for coming by, and I want to say thank you, the PA to the 001 Accurate Knowledge and Information Revolution of the Global Cluster. That is Dr. Adewari. Greetings to the Dean of the Education Faculty of University of Lagos. That is Professor Adebayo Oladipopo. We appreciate him for all he's doing to contribute positively to humanity. Since he took over the baton, the Accurate Knowledge and Information Revolution training is something else. And I need everyone to drop their review on the platform today. Drop your review about the training, today's training. Let the professors see the review of today's training from you, apart from the main review that we normally have. We seek volunteer in the review department. All of our department need volunteer as we speak, and we need everyone to contribute to this nation building project. We're currently writing letters to the police, to the army, to the Air Force, this has come to stay. So we're writing to the presidency, we're writing to the governor, we're writing to the commissioner. So ensure that you extend this hand of fellowship to your friends and family. Once the review is dropped, share it. The YouTube link, share it. And everything you see, every information, share. Dr. Kari is meeting you 1 o'clock tomorrow, all the way from the United States. The Zoom link is already on the platform. Don't miss it before we now go for the people-to-people revolution. Having said that, I want to say thank you everyone for coming by, and I want to say have a wonderful evening. My name is Dr. Adekunle Badmus, and the Global President of the Global Clusters Worldwide. Bye for now.